Yo everyone, what is going on? Welcome to the video, and today I'm going to be doing a highly requested higher calorie video. So I'm going to be setting myself a calorie goal of 3,500 calories and I'm also going to set myself a protein goal of 250 grams. And no, I do not need this amount of protein to optimize muscle growth. I could probably get away with a lot less, but I do enjoy foods that are high in protein. 250 grams of protein is still a safe intake for me. And when my calories are really high, like 3,500 calories, I'm naturally going to be eating more foods with protein in them, and hence my protein intake is going to increase. And as well as that, I am also going to be talking a little bit about pre and post-workout meals today, giving you guidelines on how you can, tailor these to optimize your performance in the gym, your recovery, and your overall results. So yeah, this is going to be a good video. But now it is time for a high-calorie breakfast, and I am going to be treating myself to a breakfast roll. And the breakfast roll is literally so sacred in Ireland that somebody literally made a song about it.
There's no sight better than making bar and a jumbo breakfast roll. 2 eggs, 2 sausage, 2 rest.
Yeah, it's kind of something that you would usually go down to the local deli and get on maybe a Friday or a Saturday morning. You'd usually be hungover whilst getting it, and the breakfast roll would either sort your hangover out or it would make your hangover a lot worse. It's risky business. So I am going to start by frying 80 grams of mushrooms on a pan, and I'm gonna make some room for 2 of these Malins turkey sausages that I got in Tesco, only 43 calories per sausage. I'm also gonna add 2 of these smoked Irish bacon medallions. Smoked is key, they taste so good. And on another pan, I am going to put on 2 fried eggs. I am genuinely so bad at frying eggs. This is a disgrace. While they are frying away, I am going to cut this multi-grain baguette. So the whole thing is 280 grams, so I'm going to be using 140. Now we begin to stuff the roll with as much of this as possible. So I'm not really too sure on how to approach it. I think I'm going to start with the eggs. These actually didn't turn out too bad. This is going to be unreal. And I'm gonna top it off with 20 grams of this no added sugar and salt ketchup. Alright, let's give this monstrosity a go. I think I might approach it from the back. Yeah, there's more egg back here, so let's go. Putting all of this in a roll is just so satisfying because there's just so much flavor with every single bite. So you have the kind of smokiness from the sausages and the medallions, you've got the yolk from the egg, and the bread is not too soft, so you kind of have to work for each bite, and I have to say, I like that. And after I get this down, I am also going to have 150 grams of mixed fruit. That is because with each meal, no matter if I am cutting or bulking, I always like fruit or veg or both to be a big component of that meal. So in here we don't really have much veg whatsoever. We have a few mushrooms, so that is why I am supplementing with some fruit. Alright, so let's talk pre and post workout meals, and I will start with the pre-workout meal, and this is a meal that I typically recommend having anywhere between 1.5 to 2.5 hours before you work out. Let's go through the macros of this meal one by one. So in terms of protein, if this is one of your main meals of the day, which it probably is, so your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, whatever, then I recommend getting at least 30 to 40 grams of protein in this meal. Getting 30 to 40 grams of protein is just going to help maximize your body's muscle protein synthetic response to this meal, and this is pretty much the process in which our bodies grow muscle, and it is also going to help you reach your overall protein target for the day. Then in terms of carbs, it is a good idea to get a nice chunk of carbs in this meal because it is going to be your body's main source of energy during your training, and a good rule of thumb is to get about 0.75 to 1.25 grams of carbs per kg of your body weight in this meal. And then in terms of fats, I recommend keeping them at a minimum in this meal because they're not really going to provide much benefit. You don't really want to feel too full during your training. You don't want to feel sluggish, and they actually might slow the digestion of carbs, which you do not want. You want them to be available and ready to use. So as a general rule, I recommend keeping your fats in this pre-workout meal to 10 grams or less. And just to provide you with a little bit more context context, I'm going to put an example on the screen now of what a pre-workout meal might look like for someone who weighs 80 kg. And if you do weigh 80 kg, these figures are not gospel by any means, but they do provide a very good guideline as to what your meal might look like in terms of protein, fats, carbs, and overall calories. Alright, it is time for some lunch, and I'm going to be making a Spanish kinda style rice dish. It's not paella, it's not a million miles off either. I actually don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. I'll let you decide. So yeah, let's get cooking. So I'm gonna start by adding 100 grams of frozen sliced mixed peppers to a pan and 100 grams of diced white onion. And while they are frying away on the pan, I am going to chop 50 grams of chorizo into little coins. In this tiny bit of chorizo, 50 grams, there is 230 calories. So high in calories. So I'm gonna add that to the pan, followed by 150 grams of these ready to eat prawns. And I'm also gonna add some sea salt, some garlic as well. And for the main event, some smoked paprika. And as the sauce, I'm gonna be going with 200 grams of this onion and garlic pasta sauce. And 200 grams is quite a lot, but seeing as calories are high today, I have the freedom to use a little more. And as that cooks away, I am going to microwave this full pack of basmati rice. So in the whole thing, there is 250 grams, and that is going to give me almost 400 calories. It definitely does have a paella vibe to it, just a little bit more tomatoey. Let's give it a go. Chorizo is just one of those things that I don't have very often at all, but it's such a distinct taste. Like as soon as it touches your tongue, you're like, yes, unreal. So good. And you would probably look at this dish and be like, yeah, a little bit of effort went into that, but it really didn't, you know, it was so easy to make. And as well as that, this is such an easy way to get calories in. Like the rice is so high in calories, the chorizo is the most ridiculously high thing in calories that I have ever seen. So yeah, really, really good bulking meal. Alright, so let's talk about the post-workout meal. And this is a meal that I recommend having within, you know, the 1 to 2 hours after training. And I think that most of us know at this stage that the whole, you know, you need to be consuming protein within 30 minutes of working out, anabolic window thing is a myth. And it is completely fine. And it is not going to upset your progress whatsoever if you wait a little bit longer to get this meal in. So in terms of protein, my recommendation is pretty much the very same as it was for the pre-workout meal. So aim for at least 30 to 40 grams of protein to maximize that muscle protein synthetic response and to help you reach your overall protein goal for the day. And then in relation to carbs, I think that this is something that most people tend to over-exaggerate the importance of, and unless you're a professional athlete with, you know, a very intense training schedule, maybe you're training multiple times per day, then this isn't a massive concern. But that being said, it is a good idea to try and get at least some carbs in this post-workout meal to help replenish your carb stores. And I recommend aiming for at least 30 to 40 grams. But you know, if you are on higher calories or you just like carbs, you might choose to have a lot more in this meal. And then in terms of fats, I also think that this is something that a lot of people are a bit too picky about. And you know, people try and keep the fats down in this post-workout meal to help speed up the digestion and the absorption of carbs and protein post-workout. But unless you are a serious athlete or you do follow a very, very intense training schedule, then it's not really going to make much of a difference. So my advice for most gym goers would to not really pay attention to the number of fats that you're getting in post-workout. Just go with personal preference, and on the off chance that you do follow a very intense schedule, then you might want to limit your fats post-workout as well. And I also think that water deserves a special mention here as well. So make sure you are drinking water in the hours leading up to your session, and make sure you are sipping away on water during your session, because even like a 1 to 2% drop in hydration levels can affect your performance. And also make sure that you are getting in plenty of water after your session as well, especially if it was a hot one and you know you sweated a lot. Okay, it is dinner time, and the great thing about being on higher calories is that you can just eat a shitload of pasta. I am a big fan, I have to say, but I do like to make it a little bit more interesting than your traditional chicken and pasta dish. So let's get cooking. So I'm going to start by adding 100 grams of whole wheat fusilli pasta to a pot of boiling salted water. And then over here I am going to add 200 grams of diced chicken breast into a pan, followed by 150 grams of mushrooms and 100 grams of spinach, which seems like a lot, but it honestly just wilts away into nothing. And I'm also gonna add some sea salt and some garlic into the mix. Then I'm going to add my chicken, spinach and mushroom mix into the pasta. Add 125 grams of this creamy tomato sauce from Dolmio. And the sauce alone contains 113 calories, and I wouldn't usually dedicate that kind of calories to sauces in a meal on lower calories, but when you're on higher calories it is obviously not really an issue. Then I'm going to pour it all into this Pyrex dish. Add 40 grams of this 50% less fat cheese to the top and put it in the oven for about 5 to 10 minutes or so the cheese melts on top. Alright, so the more I think about it, the more I think this kinda is a standard chicken and pasta dish, but I literally don't care. This looks unreal. Oh man, this is unreal. That pasta sauce from Dolmio is really, really good. A little bit high in calories, obviously, so if you have a low calorie goal, you might struggle to fit it in, but if you can, try it. And just to round up the whole topic of pre and post-workout meals, remember that the most important thing in creating a diet is creating one that you can stick to. So there really is no point in having like the perfect pre and post-workout meal in place if it just doesn't suit your lifestyle and you cannot stick to it for longer than a couple of weeks. And just to give you an example of this, I personally work out quite early in the morning, so I just don't want to, you know, blow a load of calories on this pre-workout meal, because I much prefer to save most of my calories for the evening time, because, you know, that's just what works for me. That's what I enjoy. So my advice is to kind of go back over the guidelines that I gave, and for each guideline ask yourself, is this going to make my diet way harder to stick to? And if the answer is yes, then you literally should not make that change. But if the answer is no and you think you could do it quite easily, then you could look at making this little tweak. Alright, it is time for my final meal of the day, and I wouldn't have it any other way than having a massive bowl of porridge. Honestly, I think it is my favorite meal ever. Such a nice treat and so easy to make really high in calories with the right toppings. So I'm going to start by adding 60 grams of porridge oats to a bowl, 250 to 300 mils of water. I am going to put it in the microwave until the oats begin to rise, and this usually takes just a few minutes, and it's so important that you keep an eye on it, because too many times I have let the bowl of oats overflow in the microwave and it is not fun. But yeah, if you are a bit of a rebel like myself, you can get to work on the other ingredients while the porridge is microwaving away. So I'm going to add 20 grams of this powdered peanut butter to a bowl and mix it with some water. And also chop up one small banana. I'm getting a little bit nervous about this porridge now. I need to be very quick. Okay, porridge is good to go, no disaster. So now I'm going to add 35 grams of whey protein, chocolate brownie flavor of course. And as you can see, I like my porridge nice and thick. And then I'm going to add my toppings. So I will start with the banana, followed by the peanut butter, and I'm going to top it off with 2 squares of this Butler's dark salted caramel chocolate. This is so good. Not gonna lie, sometimes I do go, or most of the time I go for the cheap Tesco dark chocolate. Ooh. And that is pretty good, I have to say, but when that Butler's one is on offer, make sure you pick it up. For those of you who don't live in Ireland, I'm not sure what the story is in the UK, but you might not have Butler's, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Like, the Butler's one is the premium one, the Tesco one is the kind of cheap one. This is delicious. Alright, so to wrap up my calories, I am going to be having 10 of these sour splash jellies. There is no artificial colors or no artificial flavors, but to be honest, I am just having them because okay, that doesn't work. Okay, they open upside down. There is honestly nothing worse than having to open up a pack of jellies upside down and from the corner. It's just unpleasing to the eye or something. I just don't like it. They are really, really fizzy. Big fan. But yeah, I am going to wrap the video up there, people. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll actually display my total calories and macros for the day on screen now as well. And as I always say in my higher calorie videos, even if you are on higher calories, even if you are bulking, it is still really, really important to prioritize higher quality foods in your diet, because that is probably one of the biggest downfalls I see when people bulk. They just use it as an excuse to eat a lot of shit, and it shows in the results. So instead, just eat a little bit of shit like I did today, but for the most part, try and fill your calories with higher quality sources. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Something a little bit different because I usually stick to the lower calorie ones. So if you did enjoy the change, make sure you give the video a big thumbs up. Make sure you comment below and let me know as well, and make sure you subscribe if you have not already. I have actually set myself the goal to surpass the 20,000 subscriber mark. That is so weird to say, by the end of 2020. I think it is going to be very, very tight, but if things keep going the way they're going at the moment, I might just nip it. So yeah, every thumbs up, every comment, and every time someone presses that subscribe button goes a long, long way. So I'd really appreciate if you did at least one of those 3 things. And yeah, thanks again for watching, and I will see you next week.